Hi everyone, hope you're good and it is a beautiful sunny day. You might be watching this when it's raining, but here today it is absolutely beautiful. And we are on the top of page 266 of The Hobbit, so let's make a start. At last he interrupted them. "I'm sure we're very unsafe here," he said, "and I don't see the point of sitting here. The dragon has withered all the pleasant green, and anyway the night has come, and it is cold. But I feel it in my bones that this place will be attacked again. Smaug knows now how I came down to his hall, and you can trust him to guess where the other end of the tunnel is. He will break all this side of the mountain to bits if necessary, to stop up our entrance, and if we're smashed with it, the better he would like it." "You are very gloomy, Mr. Baggins," said Thorin. "Why has not Smaug blocked the lower end then, if he's so eager to keep us out? He has not, or we should have heard him." I don't know, because at first he wanted to try and lure me in again, I suppose, and now perhaps because he's waiting till after tonight's hunt, or because he does not want to damage his bedroom if he can help it. But I wish you would not argue. Smaug will be coming out at any minute now, and our only hope is to get well in the tunnel and shut the door." He seemed so much in earnest that the dwarfs at last did as he said. Though they delayed shutting the door, it seemed a desperate plan, for no one knew whether or how they could get it open again from the inside, and the thought of being shut in a place from which the only way out led through the dragon's lair was not one they liked. Also, everything seemed quite quiet, both outside and down the tunnel. So, for a longish while, they sat inside, not far down from the half-open door, and went on talking. The talk turned to the dragon's wicked words about the dwarfs. Bilbo wished he had never heard them, or at least that he could feel quite certain that the dwarfs now were absolutely honest when they declared they had never thought at all about what would happen after the treasure had been won. "We knew it would be a desperate venture," said Thorin, "and we know that still, and I still think that when we have won it, it will be time enough to think about what to do with it. As for your share, Mr. Baggins, I assure you that we are more than grateful, and you shall choose your own 14th as soon as we have anything to divide. I am sorry if you are worried about transport, and I admit the difficulties are great. The lands have not become less wild with the passing of time, rather the reverse. But we will do whatever we can for you, and take our share of the cost when the time comes. Believe me or not, as you like." From that the talk turned to the great hoard itself and to the things that Thorin and Balin remembered. They wondered if they were still lying there unharmed in the hall below, the spears that were made for the armies of the great King Baldorfin, long since dead. Each had a thrice-forged head, and their shafts were inlaid with cunning gold, but they were never delivered or paid for. Shields made for warriors long dead, the great golden cup of Thor, two-handed, hammered and carven with birds and flowers, whose eyes and petals were of jewels, coats of mail, gilded and silvered and impenetrable. The necklace of Gorin, Lord of Dell, made of 500 emeralds green as grass, which he gave for the arming of his eldest son in a coat of dwarf-like rings, the like of which had never been made before, for it was wrought of pure silver to the power and strength of triple steel. But fairest of all was the great white gem which the dwarfs had found beneath the roots of the mountain, the heart of the mountain, the Erkenstone of Fran. The Erkenstone, murmured Thorin in the dark, half dreaming with his chin upon his knees. It was like a globe with 1,000 facets. It shone like silver in the firelight, like water in the sun, like snow under the stars, like rain upon the moon. But the enchanted desire of the horn had fallen from Bilbo. All through their talk he was only half listening to them. He sat nearest to the door, with one ear cocked from any beginnings of a sound without. His other was alert for echoes beyond the murmurs of the dwarfs, for any whisper of a movement from far below. Darkness grew deeper, and he grew ever more uneasy. "Shut the door," he begged them. "I fear that dragon in my marrow. I like this silence far less than the uproar of last night. Shut the door before it's too late." Something in his voice gave the dwarves an uncomfortable feeling. Slowly Thorin shook off his dreams, and getting up, he kicked away the stone that wedged the door. Then they thrust upon it, and he closed with a snap and a clang. No trace of a keyhole was there left on the inside. They were shut in the mountain, and not a moment too soon. They had hardly gone any distance down the tunnel when a blow smote the side of the mountain like the crash of a battering rams made of forest oaks and swung by giants. The rock boomed. The walls cracked and stones fell from the roof on their heads. What would have happened if the door had still been open, I don't like to think. They fled further down the tunnel, glad to be still alive, while behind them outside they heard the roar and rumble of Smaug's fury. He was breaking rocks to pieces, smashing wall and cliff with the lashings of his huge tail, till their little lofty camping ground, the scorched grass, the freshest stone, the snail-covered walls, the narrow ledge, and all disappeared in a jumble of smithereens, and an avalanche of splintered stones fell over the cliff into the valley below. Smaug had left his lair in silent stealth, quietly soared into the air, and then floated heavy and slow in the dark like a monstrous crow, down the wind towards the west of the mountain, in the hopes of catching unawares something or somebody there, and of spying the outlet to the passage which the thief had used. This was the outburst of his wrath when he could find nobody and see nothing, even where he guessed the outlet might actually be. After he had let off his rage in this way, he felt better, and he thought in his heart that he would not be troubled again from that direction. In the meanwhile, he had further vengeance to take. "Barrel rider," he snorted, "your feet came from the waterside, and up the water you came without a doubt. I don't know your smell, but if you are not one of those men of the lakes, you had their help. They shall see me and remember who is the real king under the mountain." He rose in fire and went away south towards the running river. And we're going to make her start on the next chapter quickly, Not at Home. In the meanwhile, the dwarves sat in darkness, and utter silence fell about them. Little they ate and little they spoke. They could not count the passing of time, and they scarcely dared to move, for the whisper of their voices echoed and rustled in the tunnel. If they dozed, they woke still to darkness and to silence going on unbroken. At last, after days and days of waiting, as it seemed, when they were becoming choked and dazed for want of air, they could bear it no longer. They would almost have welcomed sounds from below of the dragon's return. In the silence they feared some cunning devilry of his, but they could not sit there forever. Thorin spoke. "Let us try the door," he said. "I must feel the wind on my face soon or die. I think I would rather be smashed by Smaug in the open than suffocate in here." So several of the dwarves got up and groped back to where the door had been, but they found that the upper end of the tunnel had been shattered and blocked with broken rock. Neither key nor the magic it had once obeyed would ever open that door again. "We are trapped," they groaned. "This is the end. We shall die here." But somehow, just when the dwarves were most despairing, Bilbo felt a strange lightening of the heart, as if a heavy weight had gone from under his waistcoat. And I'm going to stop there today because I can hear someone on the telephone next door. So we will get back to this chapter, to page 272, tomorrow. Bye.